Okay, so this is a situation that needs to be addressed here. Like, I would have addressed this in the weekly recap, but I didn't know about this clip until after the recap was uploaded last Sunday. Since that's around when this clip came out. So yeah, we had a bit of an interesting situation from the Pistons game last Saturday. As there was a fan altercation with Troy Weaver, where Troy Weaver was shockingly sitting in the 100 Bull section. So yeah, let's just paint this picture. So in the video I showed at the start of here, we had a fan literally go right up to Troy's face and say to Troy Weaver, the Pistons GM, that Troy sucks at his job. And then Troy responded back saying, "You're lucky I don't beat your fucking ass." And then the fan was escorted and kicked out of the building. And then now the big question that came out of this is, who was in the right? Was the fan in the right or was the fan in the wrong? And honestly, you ask me, just based on that clip, well, just on that clip, I imagine there was a bunch that was said leading up to that. But the camera just happened to cue right in on there, as the fan was obviously heckling Troy, and Troy could handle it. But to be honest, the fan really did nothing wrong. Like, the fan did what most of us wish we all had the balls to do. Like, the fan literally did what really showed that he has more balls than the majority of this fan base. Because the fan told the truth right to Troy's face. Troy does suck at his job. And honestly, Troy has no room to talk and send threats to the fan base for telling the fucking truth and giving them a proper job evaluation. Troy flat out sucks at his job. Like, Troy has no room to talk. You're 11 and fucking 53. You're one of the worst. You're like 71 and 229, 71, 230, around there. Like, you're one of the worst GMs in NBA's recent memory. If anything, Troy, you should sit down, take the fucking hard to swallow truth pill, and shut the hell up. Because Troy does suck at his job. Like, hell, the question I wonder is, why the hell was Troy sitting down there in the first place? If anything, Troy should have either been sitting in a suite well above the arena and not sitting with the masses, or he should have been somewhere else watching this game. I mean, if it was Troy's choice, then Troy should know the repercussions for his actions. Considering that Troy Weaver is one of the most wanted men in the Pistons community right now, because a lot of the Pistons fan base wants him gone. I mean, we've already seen the sell the team chants. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't seen Fire Weaver chants. We've even seen Piston fans show up to games with paper bags. We've seen almost everything this year at Pistons game, including Jared Goff chants. Like, we effectively seen it all except the Fire Weaver chant. But yeah, like, honestly, if anything, Troy Weaver should be lucky to even still live in the building and he still has a fucking job with the Pistons. Mainly because the Pistons aren't a real fucking NBA organization. Hell, if anything, Troy Weaver should be lucky that fans even still show up to the games right now and how bad the Pistons have been. Because Pistons are 11 and 53, worst team in the league. They even lost 28 games in a row earlier this season. Like, and it's great, and he should be grateful that people are still spending 2 to 3 hours of their time anytime they have open to go attend games. Whether it's for free or if they get paid for the tickets. Like, if they're paying for the tickets, then that should really tell you something. And then Troy goes and treats them like shit. Because a fan told Troy the truth right to his face and Troy couldn't handle it. It's like, well, let's be honest, Troy. If you didn't suck at your job, he wouldn't have said a goddamn thing and we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. And for anybody that says there was some racial slurs thrown out there or not, I'm gonna shut that right down. Just based on that video there was definitely not. I think we can rule out any racial slurs there. Because if he said something racist like called Troy the N-word or anything like that, considering that there was a row of black people right behind the fan that heckled Troy Weaver, if the fan said the N-word to Troy or any kind of racial slur, then the people behind him would have reacted right to him immediately, and this would have been a whole different situation. But yeah, like honestly, now everyone's talking about what should the Pistons do to discipline him, should be suspended or what. I have a better idea. He should be fired. Like honestly, he should have been fired months ago. Like let me just say this. A real organization would have fired Troy Weaver months ago. But the Pistons aren't a real organization. They're a poorly run gong show. They've been that way ever since Tom Gores became owner. Like, majority of this all falls on Tom Gores because he's the one that employed Troy Weaver and a lot of these incompetent people. Like this is just an example of what happens when you have no accountability in your organization and no culture. It just spirals to shit like this. And which I get it, there's frustration on both ends. Troy's probably frustrated because he's probably more than likely going to get fired at the end of the year. Like, honestly, he should have been fired months ago, but, that's because Tom Gores has no fucking clue what he's doing. Because Tom Gores is letting the incompetent people stay around for way too goddamn long and giving out way too many undeserved second chances. Same mistakes that William Clay Ford made with the Lions in the 2000s. And then you got the fan base is frustrated because it's another losing season and no playoffs. And more than likely, I think most of the fan base knows the Pistons are probably going to get fucked in the lottery again. Just frustration on both ends. And yeah, it finally reached its boiling breaking point last weekend. But yeah, honestly, just off the video alone, I'm siding with the fan because the fan did nothing wrong. Like, honestly, Troy was more in the wrong than the fan. And anyone saying that the fan was threatening Troy, it's like, where in that video was the fan threatening Troy? Like, nowhere in there does saying you suck at your job as a threat. It's the fucking truth. And honestly, out of most of the heckles I've seen at games, telling someone they suck at their job is probably the nicest heckle you could probably get. The nicest shirt possible. Because I've seen people not get kicked out for saying way worse. Like, honestly, telling someone they suck at their job is honestly nothing compared to what I've seen at other sporting events. I've seen way worse and people not get kicked out for it. So yeah, I think honestly, the whole thing, it just exposes, Troy Weaver it just shows that Troy Weaver's just so thin-skinned and can't take criticism. Because it's the truth. Troy sucks at his job. I mean, look at Troy's drafting. Like the only two picks Troy Weaver has hit on have been Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. Remember his drafting history. He did also hit on Sadiq Bey too until he gave up on him too soon. Asar Thompson hasn't really looked that promising so far. Jalen Duren has done some things, though. Isaiah Stewart's been meh. And of course, Troy Weaver's first ever draft pick with the Pistons will be remembered as a bust. With him taking Killian Hayes over guys like Tyrese Halliburton. It's a bad situation. Like, honestly, unless more video evidence comes out, I'm siding with the fan until unless there's more video evidence that comes out that says otherwise that led up to that. Because there was definitely some stuff that was said right beforehand, but the camera only started recording when the fan told Troy he sucked ass at his job. Which, that is the truth. And for anyone thinking that the fan only went after Troy because he's black, no, it has nothing to do with race, you fucking dumbasses. Yeah, the fan went after Troy and only said Troy sucked at his job because he's black. Yeah, tell that one to Matt Millen. When the Lions fan base literally did a fucking melon march to get Matt Millen fired. And oh, by the way, Matt Millen's white. And if you're going to pull that argument, tell that same damn thing to Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. Both of them are white. How the fan base wanted them fired. Or hell, tell that to Al Avila, who was also white with the Tigers GM, how the fan base wanted Al Avila fired for years, even selling the Fired Avila shirts. Even fans bring signs to the game saying that, telling Avila that Mike Ilitch would have been disappointed in him. So yeah, it has nothing to do with that card. So honestly, fuck out of here with that card. The fan honestly did nothing wrong. And now Troy Weaver let that fan get so rent-free in his head that he literally threatened violence. It's like, if anything, that fan should honestly look at pressing charges on Weaver for death threats. Like, definitely Troy should be disciplined. Like, not only just disciplined, Troy should be fired. But he's more likely to stay around to the end of the season. And knowing Tom Gores, he's going to do absolutely nothing about the situation, because in Tom Gores' mind, everything is, in his drunk, coked out mind, everything is fine, when in reality isn't. But yeah, just a bad situation. Just a bad situation for Weaver and the Pistons organization. As yeah, now the frustrations really hit a boiling point. So yeah, honestly, fan base did nothing wrong. My respect for that fan went way up. At least somebody finally had the balls to fucking say what we all want to say to Troy Weaver. And honestly, fire Troy Weaver. Pack your shit and get the fuck out. I'm out of here.